Yo, what's up, guys? In today's video, I got some Chicago Bulls news and rumors on the Chicago Bulls and the whole luxury tax situation. I'm going to be honest, that whole situation and the Chicago Bulls has been a really heated, I'd just say debatable topic for a while now. But nonetheless, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Leave a quick like on today's video. It takes a second, helps me out a lot. And some comments and questions below today's video talking about this topic that I'm about to jump into. Also, check out my last video if you guys missed it. I was giving a bunch of injury updates on the Bulls, and I was talking about Vucevic's future contract with the Chicago Bulls and everything like that. But either way, let's just jump right into today's video. Because, like I was just saying, the Chicago Bulls are really cheap. Let's be honest. They have been known as cheap in the past. The Bulls organization was the joke of the NBA just a few seasons ago with Jim Boylen being the head coach. That whole situation was just a mess. You know, watching the Bulls every night was just ugly. And it was just a bad few seasons for the Chicago Bulls. And I remember Rick Carlisle telling like NBA coaches not to come to Chicago to coach the Bulls. That's just how messy and bad our organization was a few seasons ago. Thankfully, Arturas and Mark Eversley have done a great job with this organization, this roster, and all the players. And Casey Johnson did a huge interview and podcast just the other day with the Bulls president, Michael Reinsdorf. He was speaking on the Bulls Talk podcast, talking about the franchise, the luxury tax, and Arturas and Mark Eversley and everything like that. And I felt like the headline of this whole podcast was Michael Reinsdorf speaking on the Bulls Talk podcast, saying that the Bulls are absolutely willing to pay for the luxury tax to do it for a contender. He said if you want to compete for championships, you have to be willing to spend into the tax. And let me just first off say that's great to hear from the Bulls, I'd say president and pretty much the whole organization. This is great to hear publicly that Bulls ownership is giving Arturas and Mark Eversley the go to enter the luxury tax in future years to come if they want to make moves to compete for championships in the NBA. Almost every team that wins a championship nowadays is in the luxury tax, and it's worth it, man. You have to pay to win in the NBA. And not only is this great to hear, especially for the public, obviously Bulls fans, like I said earlier in today's video, this whole situation was a mess for a while now, but this is a huge message for future star free agents that will maybe want to come to Chicago, and that just shows them that the Chicago Bulls will do whatever it takes to win, especially win a championship. So huge shout out to Casey Johnson. You know, this is great news, but I'm going to be honest, I'm going to wait till I see it because they've said this in the past before. And the exact quote that Michael Reinsdorf did say, you know, Casey Johnson obviously asked him if he'd be willing to pay the luxury tax. And he said, absolutely. All you have to do is go back and look at the last number of championship teams. How many of them were in the luxury tax? That's exactly what I just said earlier in today's video. And he continued, with the nature of the NBA and having a soft cap, if you want to compete for championships, you have to be willing to spend into the tax. You know, he did say on the podcast, I think most people will tell you, I don't want to spend into the tax if we're not competing for championships. If we're not good enough, I don't want to be the 8th seed or out of the playoffs and go into the luxury tax. And I understand that statement 100%. But this Bulls team is contending. They are one of the best teams in the East, and they haven't been fully healthy this whole season. And in the Chicago Bulls history, they have only paid the luxury tax once in franchise history. And that's why I'm saying I want to see it before hearing it. They were on target to do so for a second season a few seasons back, but they did trade Luol Deng, who was set to be a free agent in January 2014 after Derrick Rose did tore his meniscus for his second season-ending knee injury. That's just sad to even read, speaking of Derrick Rose. But that shows you how cheap this Bulls organization is. They never want to pay the luxury tax, and I'll only believe it when I see it. Especially because this Bulls team, you know, this past offseason, Arturas and Mark Eversley did a hell of a job, you know, signing and trading for Lonzo, Demar, just adding Alex Caruso, good veterans, good young players on this roster. And I think it's obvious. And the Chicago Bulls made and did all those moves with pretty much no, I'd say, salary cap last offseason. And with Zach LaVine being a free agent for this upcoming summer, it seems like Zach LaVine might even make All-NBA and he'll be eligible for a Supermax contract. But either way, he's looking at a multi-year deal worth north of $200 million from the Chicago Bulls. So the Bulls are going to have to pay the luxury tax. So I do expect Zach LaVine to get a max contract from the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Bulls to be over the luxury tax for this upcoming summer. I mean, they're a championship contending team. Look what they've done, and this team hasn't been 100% healthy. And I know even at the trade deadline, and I know the Bulls pretty much sat pat, but on the buyout market, they did sign Thompson. But either way, I know a lot of Bulls fans were really mad that the Bulls didn't make any big trades or any minor moves at the trade deadline, and they even blamed Arturas and the Bulls front office about the Bulls not being willing to pay the luxury tax. So obviously since then, Michael did come out and say that he's willing to. I mean, even at the trade deadline, there was some talk about how the Bulls did call the Pacers about a Domantas Sabonis trade before the Pacers traded him to the Kings. So it does seem like this is true. You know, the Bulls president doesn't care if they do pay the luxury tax. He just wants to win another championship. Obviously, I'm going to wait till I see that before, I just continue to hear it. But it does look like even at the trade deadline, Arturas was trying to swing big and make another big trade again. And since the trade deadline and all this news did come out, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about how the Bulls are expected to make a major trade or a major move in this upcoming offseason. I plan to make a future video deep diving more into that topic, but huge shout out to Chicago Bulls Talk on Twitter. And he was just recapping and giving his opinion on the trade deadline. And he said the trade deadline shows us that Arturas and Mark Eversley are not willing to take on major salary. They're not willing to move assets or picks for role players. And I'm happy with the Bulls standing pat. And he continued and he said major moves coming in this offseason if Michael Reinsdorf is willing to pay $10 million plus in the luxury tax. He did say you have to trust ATA and Mark Eversley that they know what they're doing. And I do 100%. I'm just ready for the NBA playoffs. I'm going to be real. I just want to see this team be 100% healthy. I know there's some Bulls fans that believe this team can win a championship now, and I'm one of those fans. I believe this Bulls team can win it now. This Bulls team is one of the deepest teams in the NBA, mixed with good veterans, stars, and young players that have been playing really well, especially in Io. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I do believe this Bulls team is maybe 1 or 2 pieces away. Who knows, man? It's hard to judge this team. We've never seen this team 100% healthy besides maybe 5 to 10 games early on in the season. So I'm just excited to see this team continue to play. This upcoming schedule for the Bulls throughout March is looking really rough, but that's good. That's going to toughen us up and just get us ready for the NBA playoffs. I'm just excited for the playoffs, this Bulls team to finally get healthy, and it does look like a big move or some major moves are coming for this upcoming summer if the Bulls, of course, are willing to pay the luxury tax. This has been a big topic and debate for years now. The Bulls organization, like I said earlier in today's video, was a joke a few years ago, not willing to pay the luxury tax for the Derrick Rose days. Who knows? I'm just going to wait and see what the Bulls do for this upcoming offseason. I'm excited for the playoffs and this team to get healthy. Thank you guys for all the love on the channel and the past few videos. I always do appreciate it. Definitely leave some comments and questions below today's video talking about Michael Reinsdorf talking to Casey Johnson, saying that the Bulls are willing to pay the luxury tax and everything like that, and any other future moves you guys want the Chicago Bulls to make in this upcoming offseason. Thank you guys again for all the love on the channel and the past few videos. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Have a good one.